Right now, the classics are on Polygon. Soon you'll be able to bridge those over to Flow and onto your Cryptoys account. And that's when there's some really big things happening for Cryptoy Classic holders. We have two native currencies also being built, two fungible tokens. One's called Toykin, the other is called Binary Dust. Classic holders will get airdrops of those as well. So there's a lot of benefits coming for classic holders. We see classic holders as like the OG of the OG supporters and community, and we'll make sure they're constantly rewarded throughout the life of the platform.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present the wonderful Will.
How y'all doing? This is a funny story. Top Shot obviously was all the rage, right? Late 2020, early 2021, right? That was like the big project everybody got excited about. And if y'all remember those days, you know, pack drops were insane, you know, and they were super hard to get. You know, they would sell out, and then you would get, you know, hopefully you'd get in queue at the right time and whatnot. So I was trying to figure out ways to just get as many packs as possible. And my buddy, for whatever reason, would seem to hit on every single pack drop. Every single one, he would get it, and I would just always be baffled. I'm like, how does this dude keep hitting? How does he keep hitting? So I hit him up, said, bro, tell me your secret. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, tell me. He's like, all right, I got the alpha. He said, there's this girl you follow on Twitter. Her name's Steph Pseudo. You follow her, you set notifications for on, and this girl is completely plugged in. Every time there's a stress test or a pack drop, she's going to tweet about it. So apparently Steph's Twitter account was the reason this guy was nailing every single pack drop. So I followed Steph, set my notifications for on. I started getting every pack drop, so I was feeling really good. And then we raised a little bit of money for Cryptoys, and I had to hire someone to run the community. Steph was the first person I DM'd, and the rest is history.
But we were talking about before, I don't know if you've seen from the official account yesterday, somebody was selling off all their moments, and the account like retweeted, highlighting it. Would you guys ever retweet an OG collector in Cryptoys that is dumping their bags?
I think it depends on the circumstances, right? This the guy, you know, like, is this an earnest seller that needs some help, and you know they need to get, you know, so, you know, you know, there's a situation going on. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna leave that one to Steph to use her best discretion if she fires on the retweets for that one. So it's on you, Steph.
Will, before we get into opening some cubes and whatnot, do you want to give us a little bit of a rundown about what Cryptoys is and why you decided to get involved and create something magical like this?
Basically, Cryptoys was all started and inspired by my 9-year-old daughter, Victoria. She was really into these things called blind bags, which are surprise unboxing toys. I don't know if your audience is familiar with them. Things like LOL Surprise, Hatchimals, Barbie color reveals. It's like the hottest trend in the physical toy space. And I was spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on these things. And, you know, this was 2018, right when crypto kitties started becoming a thing. This is right when NFTs just started really popping off from Dapper Labs. And, you know, I was playing with crypto kitties and really kind of, you know, being immersed with the idea of a digital collectible. For me, digital collectibles made a ton of sense. You know, I grew up a comic book collector, baseball cards, playing with things like Pogs and things like that. So the idea of digital collectibles and digital scarcity and ownership, that made a lot of sense to me. So just dive deep into the world of NFTs in 2018. Minted a bunch of crypto kitties, and then, you know, one day my daughter's playing with one of her LOL Surprise dolls, and she said, hey dad, come check this out, I got the ultra rare. I found the ultra rare. And that was like the big light bulb moment for me. I thought, oh my goodness, here's this huge segment of the toy industry that's predicated on collectability and scarcity. We can now do these digitally for the first time ever, thanks to NFTs. So, you know, that's kind of how I got into the space. And from 2018 to 2020, you know, we were, you know, just kind of making this side project for our kids. And then basically, you know, nobody cared about NFTs from 2018 to 2020. And then things picked up, obviously, in a big way from late 2020 to early 2021. And we just started, you know, building it more on a foundational level. We got some VC interest, started building out the team, raised some venture capital, and then we're off into the races since then. So basically what we're building with Cryptoys is we're building the world's premier digital toy company. So if you think of a company like Matel or these other legacy toy companies, if you were to create those companies from scratch today and they were digital first and NFT native, what would those toy companies look like? And then how do you imagine the concept of play in a fully digital world? Like, how do you play with digital toys? And that's what, we are creating here. We are creating the world's premier digital toy company and building apps and games and all these different things so you could play with them in different ways.
Yo, it's kind of exciting when you're at the forefront of something, but at the same time, I think that I don't know if I can use the word responsibility to vanguard it in or kind of bring it in and do it in like creative ways. So do you view it in any kind of way as like a responsibility in terms of shaping what the future of Web3 and NFTs can look like? Or do you kind of view yourself more as, hey, we're wanting to be a very well-established collectible within this kind of wide world of Web3?
Oh, I mean both. I think you want to try to do both. You want to try to push the industry forward, and create a brand that is a positive beacon of light for others, and also to put legitimacy towards the space. Obviously, we're going through some ups and downs here from a macro level, from a market perspective. There's a lot of shady characters in the space, and you have things going on with like what happened with FTX and whatnot, which is not doing us any favors from a overall industry standpoint. But then there's a lot of great innovation that's happening at the same time. For us, we want to build the best digital toy company possible. So from a consumer perspective, just think of them as digital toys, and like, what does that mean? And how do we get the proliferation of like this new incredible technology and economy that NFTs and digital ownership can provide, but using digital toys as a conduit, or using digital toys as the delivery mechanism for the technology. Not necessarily talking about the technology as something first and foremost. Like, remember, when MP3s became a thing, when Napster was released in like the mid 90s, everybody was like, MP3s, like, get an MP3 player. And like, how do I download an MP3? 'Cause that was the file type and the format. But nowadays we just listen to music and we just want to play music. We don't care if it's a WAV file or an MP3 file or whatnot, right? We just want to listen to music. And I think NFTs will be the same thing, where, we're not going to care what's the back end technology as long as it does its job. And I believe that, there three things have to happen for this to be something that people like. And number one is, first and foremost, the user experience has to be awesome, right? Nobody wants to deal with crappy applications just for the sake of using new technology. Two, fees have to be incredibly low. And three, you have to have true ownership and liquidity of your digital collectible. If you achieve those three things, the type of blockchain you use or the technology on the back end is going to fade into the background. And the problem that we have right now is everybody likes to talk about it at the forefront: technology for the sake of talking about it, and everybody talks about it as an investment. And there's no way we're going to bridge to the mainstream if people think about this first and foremost as an investment before they think about it as a consumer product or something that you get enjoyment or entertainment out of. So I'd like to see us as right there in the middle, Web 2.5, if you will, and trying to really introduce this to a whole new set of folks, while also, doing something to push the space forward in general.
It's hilarious how like we do. I mean, I'm guilty for it too, but straight across the board, almost everything when you talk about right now, people still use the term alpha and are talking about things from an investment standpoint instead of, hey, we actually like it. Now, Not Good brings up a good question here in the chat. And Will, if you'd like to kind of tackle this one, he says, wouldn't digital toys be video games?
Great question. So like, the idea is a digital toy is, we think of things like very toyetic, right? Like, we use this word a lot at Cryptoys. Things have to feel toyetic. And what does that mean? It has to invoke the feeling of a toy, right? There are certain things you could do with a toy. First of all, think of like analogous to a physical toy. I can have a toy that I buy at Target or Walmart or on eBay. I can keep it in the blister pack, right? In mint condition, put it on my wall or on my shelf. And I got a few Ninja Turtles back there, right, as a good example. And it's just there. It's a collectible. I like to look at it. I keep it in mint condition. There are other toys that I could take out of the packaging, right, and actually play with it in different ways. I can, turn it or put it in a play set or whatnot. Cryptoys, a digital toy, acts in the same way, where it can be a collectible. you could actually have it in mint condition, keep it in the blister pack, etc. But then if you take it out of its digital packaging, you could then put it into a game and be a gaming character. So there is a slight nuance and difference where there's a collectability aspect to it at the foundational level, and then it's up to you if you want to take it to the next level and game with it. Whereas opposed to a video game where you're just gaming and you're active gaming the entire time. So a little bit of a nuance there.
I'm trying to think of back in the day when I used to like collect toys, and I don't think I did it like super religiously, but I remember in the early stages of when the internet was getting really popular, there were certain toys you could buy, and then you could get the digital version of it online, and sometimes even be able to play in a game. And this is kind of the reverse of that, where you're able to get, you know, the digital item. But are you going to have any physical claimables at all with this?
Absolutely, that's a big part of our roadmap. We have some incredible partners that can help us with that stuff. And right now we're focusing on getting the digital aspect nailed and doing that really well and making customers really happy. But physical is a huge part of what we're doing. Merch and toys and the whole thing. We're building, legacy IP here, and we're really excited about it.
If you guys ever do anything with Rescue Heroes, I remember watching that as as a kid way back in the day. But the partnerships that you guys have had, we've had the Matel announcement. You guys have just dropped Cryptoys, your original series, and then Humans of the Metaverse, or I might be totally messing up that name, but it's the He-Man dude.
Universe, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you guys are bringing in this different IP. How much more are you expecting coming? Is it going to be kind of a big end of 2022, or are you looking more ahead to the beginning of 2023 for some additional things to start happening?
Yeah. So, like a legacy toy company, right? You have your own IP, licensed IP. Like think of Mattel, right? Mattel has their own intellectual property that they fully own. Masters of the Universe, Barbie, Hot Wheels. That's their IP. They control it 100%. But then they do licensed IP. They work with Disney Cars and Toy Story. They work with Jurassic World. So they do licensed stuff as well. And we operate the same way. We have our own native IP that we own, 100%, that we could do a lot of creative things with. And then we do things with licensed partners. For the remainder of 2022, we're focusing on Masters of the Universe. So we have the initial 4 characters that we dropped here in November. We'll have the next 4 characters in December and another 4 characters coming in January. And then we'll be announcing the future partners after that. 2023 is shaping up to be a monster year for licensed IP on Cryptoys. So, expect some really big announcements in the coming months here. Frankly, I have some pinch me moments that I'm even working on these deals. There's going to be some major announcements coming out of Cryptoys pretty soon that we're really excited about.
So I got to ask, with that and the kind of big excitement from a founder standpoint, I feel like there's a fair amount of that going on within the space of people saying, hey, we have these big things coming. And I'm curious, what kind of insights could you give us? Have you guys delayed anything due to the market conditions? Do you believe when everyone else is also kind of saying along those same lines? Because for us as collectors of NFTs very broadly, we're all like, everything sounds amazing, but we're not sure if people are holding back due to the market conditions or if things are just kind of naturally taking a little bit longer because we are kind of in a brand new world.
Well, I would say if you gave me a calendar and you said pick the worst day of the last 2 years to launch on, I would say we probably pick that date. That was like literally November 9th, which is the same day everything went down with FTX. The entire crypto Twitter was just immersed in what was happening and unfolding, and we had to launch. Now, we had that date baked for months with Mattel. We have a brand partner. We did a lot of PR around it. So we were moving. So that's a great example of we're pushing through. The brand's pushing through. We're pushing through. Regardless of the bad actors in the space, we still want to innovate and double down. I think the brands that really care about this as from an innovation standpoint and believe that this is a critical, chapter, technology, innovation that's going to, represent a big part of the future are the ones that are still building right now. The ones that came like, hey, let's see this because this is the trendy thing, or hey, the boardroom called us and they said, from the 20th floor, and they said, hey, have the Web3 meeting, take the NFT call because that's the trendy thing I read about, in the paper. Those people are leaving, and frankly, great, because those are the type of people that aren't good for the space. Anyways, we've seen a lot of them. I know you've seen of them too. Brands that you could just clearly see that's a cash grab. That is a total cash grab. That's an NFT with no utility, no real reason for existence outside of they did a Web3 drop or an NFT drop for the sake of doing it and crossing it off the, hey, to my senior manager, I got it done, right? That's not good for the space overall. That's actually, frankly, very detrimental for the space because people buy the thing and they're like, what is this useless thing that I got? It doesn't do anything and it sits in my wallet and I have to look at it and I realize I spent $150 for something that doesn't really do anything for me. So the people that are in the space right now and doubling down, I'll give a great example, Nike, right? Nike, days after the whole FTX debacle, launched the Dot Swoosh campaign. That's a great example of a brand that isn't going anywhere when it comes to this new world and Web3 and digital collectibles and whatnot, right? So I think that Nike is going to be a huge player and the reason they call it a cycle, because it is a cycle, right? Things go up and things go down. And when the cycle, inevitably reverses again, Nike is going to be in pole position as the, attire or apparel company in the metaverse, right? They're going to be that because they're laying the foundation down right now. It was similar to NBA Top Shot, right? NBA Top Shot, people don't remember because everybody has selective memory in this space, but basically, CryptoKitties launched in 2017. In 2018, there was a little bit of a bull, right? Because NFTs were getting exciting, and CryptoPunks did their thing, and a bunch of projects were announced. Then there was crypto bear market from 2018 to 2020, and that's when Top Shot was building. They announced the Flow project. They did the licensing deal with the NBA. It took them a year and a half to 2 years to build what became NBA Top Shot from a development perspective, a licensing standpoint. So much so that when the market turned and there was a bull market, obviously they were in a pole position to ride that wave. So you're seeing that same thing happen now. If you're a company that's building in the space and you're riding out the bear, good for you, because when this market inevitably turns, you're going to be doing all the deployments and the shipments, and you're really going to be in a great position to turn the corner here. So from a brand appetite perspective, the right ones are still here. The meetings that we're having, there's still a ton of velocity. I just encourage brands to ask themselves, are we in this for the long run? Do we have the time and the resources to actually invest in it? And not just saying, hey, we're going to get some NFT platform or project to build our stuff, but to say, we're dedicating the resources to build a community, to provide utility, to create a roadmap, to engage on a daily basis with these people and have a conversation with. And a lot of brands aren't doing that, but the ones that are, I think, will be very well rewarded.
You brought it up, so I feel like we have to touch on it. Cryptoys, the FTX scandal, how is that affecting you guys, if at all?
I think in general, look, we've sold thousands and thousands of units. We're, from a sales standpoint, extremely excited about it. The problem that I think, all Web3 and NFT platforms are going to have is, and maybe this is not a problem, I like to see this as actually an opportunity, is how do you, disconnect scammy behavior in the macro cryptocurrency space to what's happening with Web3 and NFTs? Because a lot of people lump them together. I go to these, Comic-Cons and stuff like that, and I say, hey guys, we're building this NFT platform, Cryptoys. They're like, oh, I don't like NFTs. I say, why? Why don't you like NFTs? Oh, in 2017, my cousin got me involved with this ICO that went belly up. And then you realize that, people just lump it all together because it's crypto and whatever. But really the only common denominator is that it's on blockchain, two different use cases for blockchain technology. So that's the biggest challenge. We're selling thousands and thousands of units, but still in the general public's mindset, they think crypto bad. So that's really what we got to do when we reach out to folks. Folks like you are great. You obviously know about the space and know every aspect and nuance of the space. But just the random person in Ohio or in Nebraska that's, thinking about a digital collectible for the first time, they think crypto bad, NFT bad, because it's all lumped into like scammy behavior. And that's what the FTX scandal does. It sets the whole industry back a couple of years because of just subconsciously people associate things with, with scammy behavior, unfortunately. So we still push through. We're doing a lot of sales, thousands of sales. We're off to a really good start. I just think, FTX and those kind of things never do the industry as a whole any favors. And we have obviously more work to do to break through that noise.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting. I mean, some of you guys in the chat might know the story, or well, you might have seen it, but there was a really popular Twitch streamer called like I Show Speed, and he had these people that were promoting this like cryptocurrency on his channel, and there was a lot of negativity around it, but I thought it was interesting because there was some people highlighting today that like, hey, like people were recognizing that that was a scam. And I think that obviously there's the concern of like people thinking overall crypto is a scam, but then people at the same time, I think, in a weird way, that's educating. Like, hey, if some dude just shows up on some celebrity's things like, hey, go buy this thing, then you kind of think for yourself and you're like, hold on a minute, what exactly is actually going on here? And I thought that was a very interesting standpoint. Now, we do have a couple of Cryptoy boxes that we got for Masters of the Universe. So, Will, give me a little bit of a lowdown about what we're looking at here. We got the yellow and green cubes. You guys have had the original Cryptoys drop, but what's this one, and what are kind of all the different drops that have happened and that might happen before the end of the year?
Yeah, we have two drops. We have our Genesis units, and then we have our first licensed line in partnership with Matel. So that's what you're looking at right now. That's Masters of the Universe. So you're looking at the, those Cryptoys, and you have a blind pack kind of unboxing experience. So that's really, really cool. If you're sharing your screen, which I see you are, just make sure the sound is enabled, because
okay, cool. You won't be able to hear it, but everybody watching will.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you're gonna do it's a blind pack unboxing. It's basically like, if you're familiar with the Top Shot experience, this is the toy version of that, and we're really proud of just the overall presentation here. So
okay, cool. Well, let's get into the pack opening. You got to tell me if this stuff's good or bad as we're going along here. So we got to make sure that the audio is working when we begin unboxing. Start your experience. Listen, the dog's kind of cute with the planes, not gonna lie. All right. Okay. All right, so does it just do it automatic? Okay, yeah, so tap and hold Cryptoys cube to unbox. All right, you guys ready? Yo. Yo. Yeah, that speed is pretty legit, too. It started with no lag at all. Listen, these guys are... Okay, so I have to hold and click here. Here we go. The sword, Triclops.
Nice. Good pull. I like it. So now you got a choice. You can keep it in mint condition, or you could take them out of the packaging. So I'd recommend you take them out of the packaging.
You recommend wait, okay, so tap and hold blister pack to unwrap. Okay.
Yep.
Here. What? Okay, so we were talking about the video games earlier, and you're like, you can take them out of the plaque and play with them. So are these games live? Is it coming? What do I get to do with this guy?
So now you could, first of all, go back to your backpack, and you can see him in your backpack, and you'll see the stats, right? So you got your mint number, you have your statometer, which represents like different functionality in the game. Obviously you can build on top of that statometer, but you have a nice base because you have a hero unit. So these are all hero units, which is the top tier toy that you can get. So you have a common, so you have out of 5,400. Obviously we would love to pull some rare ones, but
it'll happen. No worries.
Yeah. So it's a first edition, and now you can play on the block. So the block is the test drive area. So if you want to hit play on the block, you can actually see in real time your Cryptoy alive. So you took him out of the packaging, so now he's fully alive and it's interactive. So you can see a little menu bar, and then you can run around. Here he is, minted on the blockchain. So now you're running around the blockchain with your Triclops.
Banger. We even got footprints too. Hell, friggin'.
There you go. Boom. So this is just the test drive area, and we have our first game coming very shortly as well that we'll be launching. So you'll just see this more and more. You'll have more functionality with your toys, but in the meantime, you have sick collectibles. So now you can escape out of here, go back to your backpack, and you just close the tab, and you can you can go back and see your Triclops, and you can see you already have the start of a collection there. Go to your backpack.
Banger.
Boom. Fire. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see what you pull.
Yo, no. So just to clarify, you guys don't have gifting enabled, but that's supposed to happen at some point, right?
That's coming for sure.
W. All right, here we go. Yo, I love the dog. I don't know why. It's just cute.
The corgi. All right, let's get a big one here. We already got a Triclops, so let's see if we can pull a He-Man, maybe a Battle Cat, Evelyn. Even another Triclops would be fine.
No. My You know, it's funny because people talk about Adam and Eve a lot, but what about Adam and Steve? Bang!
That's right.
Yo, okay, legit.
So now you can go back and do some jump on
Hey, listen, hold on. We got to play it on the block. We got to see how they're all different.
All right, boom.
Okay. Oh, there's a zoom button too. I didn't even realize that. And for this like block thing, are you guys gonna use this as like a practice range, or is this always gonna stay kind of within the setting?
This is right now the test drive area. We're gonna maybe doing some different skins for the test drive area and things like that. You know, but right now, you know, everybody promises game coming or hey, interactivity is gonna come. Like now, buy our JPEG and eventually you'll be able to play with it. We were like, nah, day one, you could interact with this thing. So at least show people, you know, some of the cool stuff that you can do.
Nice. All right, listen, we got one more here.
Boom. Your collection's starting to shape up. Schiller, you got two nice ones?
Facts. So when it says skin 1983, is that something that you guys came up with, or is this like actually a part of the show, or?
Well, it hit live TVs and stuff in 1983. So that's the OG skin. We call it 1983.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yep. So you're doing well. You got, you know, that's this poof mention here. You got half of the Wave 1 common set. So your collection is shaping up nicely.
Not too shabby.
Let's see what we got number 3 here.
Yo, there's the dog. We got none of the same, all different. We heard fly.
Hey, that's pretty sick. No doubles, no duplicates. This one's an uncommon. You're doing good. And Evelyn with both if you want to. You can set in the blister pack if you want to keep it in mint condition, or you could take her out of the package.
Listen, the uncommon we probably got to leave in the package.
Let's do it. Leave it in the package.
Give me a little bit of a rundown for like the statometer. I know you talked about it a second ago, but is this like a significant advantage within certain games? Is it just like, how does it work?
So there are certain things that the higher the statometer will allow you to earn more rewards and items inside the game. So as you play inside these games, for example, if your statometer is high, you could think of it like a luck multiplier. So all of a sudden you might earn 4 different collectibles, right? NFTs effectively in a game because your statometer is high. It's almost like it's more magnetic for luck and airdrops and things like that. So the higher the statometer, you know, the better from a collectability standpoint. Even though the lower statometers can still do a ton, you could think of it just like it's almost like if you ate the star in Mario. You know, you're invisible for a little bit, and you could do some cool things for a hot minute. There's some power ups.
So you said the word airdrop in there, and that's the key word. That's the buzzword. That's the safe word. What do you mean by that?
So we're going to be giving different rewards to people that hold Cryptoys in different states. So the cool thing about having maybe one in mint condition and one out of the packaging is might announce something one day and say, hey, for everyone that has a wrapped, unopened Evelyn, you're going to get an airdrop this Friday, right? Or for a different character, you might get airdropped for these. Or if you have 10 wrapped Cryptoys in your backpack, 10 or more, you're going to get airdropped a few different things. At the same time, we might do airdrops specifically for different sets, different unopened ones, different open ones. The main difference in delineation between the wrapped one and the opened one is a staked. You think of it like in the staking form, like almost if you think of like moonbirds, you nest your moonbirds.
Yep.
Similar in that sense. The open one is an actual gaming character where you actually take it on the block, play in different games, and earn different assets that way. So it's really about, are you a laid back, idle gamer or collector, or are you more of an active gamer where you want to play and do different things? So it's really meant to fulfill both gaming modalities.
So Wenpoof in the chat mentioned that was like half of the Wave 1 common set. So set rewards, yay or nay?
So you basically got two. So there's 4 characters. You already got 2 commons. You had the Triclops and the Prince Adam. So you just need a common Evelyn and you need a common Cringer. You have that. You have all commons. So there might be a reward related to that.
Okay, cool.
Specific completion. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. Well, listen, guys, if there's any questions within the chat here for Will, would love to pass them along here, but I'm very intrigued by that, especially some of the games. And I mean, so the overarching thing, I guess, is that you guys have Cryptoys, which is, I guess, kind of like the Genesis set, right? Where you have the classic. Well, actually, let's start there for the classics. If people are looking and they find the classics, what's the benefit, perk, utility, whatever of that? Is that just like a collectible now, or how does it work?
So the classics are for our earliest supporters. We airdrop them as like a thank you because this took a lot of time to build. Obviously, you could see, how long it took from, 3D art, animation, Unity development. The classics already got folks early access to the drops, so they were able to buy these things before they were available to the general public. But then also there's going to be some big multipliers and benefits and airdrops in future things related to classic holders. Right now, the classics are on Polygon. Soon you'll be able to bridge those over to Flow and onto your Cryptoys account, and that's when there's some really big things happening for Cryptoy classic holders. We have 2 native currencies also being built, 2 fungible tokens. One's called Toykin, the other is called Binary Dust. Classic holders will get airdrops of those as well. So there's a lot of benefits coming for classic holders. We see classic holders as like the OG of the OG supporters and community, and we'll make sure they're constantly rewarded throughout the life of the platform.
Nice. Knockgood got a question here with an image attached, so let me just open this quick. Does the tap and hold blister pack to unpack that's kind of pops up on the screen always appear on the toy when you unpack? Kind of sad that the pop-up is directly on top of the thing I just opened. Or is Steve a fish? Oh, I am a fish. First thing to see is that pop-up instead of the toy. Yeah, so that's actually an interesting point here, and I don't know if you happen to have the stream up, but I can link it if you need. Yeah. But he's just highlighting when you open the toy that it has the, hey, you can unpack this instead of just seeing only the toy, where you kind of have to like click away to get that off the screen.
Totally. That is we've definitely heard that feedback before. That is something we're working on fixing for sure. Definitely well noted, and definitely something that's already logged as an improvement. Yep.
Xander, were you just like, you saw that and you're like, hold on, let me save the photo? That's amazing. Yeah, you're great.
I love it. No, I love it. That's great feedback.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So we got some major Cryptoys Classics Alpha. We got some big happenings, at least that you're working on, getting deals signed and stuff for 2023. And I'm just kind of curious, as kind of the person, we'll call it collector, maybe take the founder cap off for a second. The greater crypto market right now, there's a lot of us that have been, in NFTs, we're seeing these things. We don't really know what to make of it. How do you kind of foresee the future here? Obviously, we've talked about bad actors and things not going well, but it seems like you're more bullish on ever on the future of what you're doing, and I can imagine a few other people, including Nike, as you mentioned too.
I'm super bullish on the space in the long run. To me, this is easily, like, if you look at it, digital collectibles and true ownership of digital assets is one of the most obvious things. Like, in looking in retrospect, 20 years from now, it's like of course, right? Like the way that I see my kids also growing up They love digital items. I think they're all going to look at us like, wait a second, Dad, you mean to tell me you played 80 hours of that game earning items and didn't actually own those items? That's going to be something that's unfathomable to them. So I think this is obviously an inevitable thing. I believe wholly in the space. I think the biggest thing is, like every new innovation, we need to weed out all the bad actors. Just like the first version of the internet, there's a lot of charlatans and crooks. Just like in any market, 80 hours. So 80 hours. Yeah, I'm a casual
These
gamer.
guys
I'm
are
sorry.
like, yo, sir,
Yeah.
you need to bump that up.
I need to pump. Those are rookie numbers. Those are rookie numbers. So, yeah, I just think that this is obviously going to be a huge thing in the future. I remain incredibly bullish, and frankly, I think these are the perfect times to weed out people that are here for all the wrong reasons. The thing that we have to keep in mind is that there's no way that this is going to hit the mainstream if people think about this first and foremost as an investment. The problem people have is everybody is money focused. And if everybody's money focused, it's not going to work. It's not going to work in the long run. So if you think of like why communities are built and why things become valuable is because there's a community around it that's passionate and that it creates some sort of like feverish trend. So for example, think of comic books and like Superman 1. There's a reason Superman 1 is worth as much money as it is. And people didn't look at Superman 1 when they opened up a comic book shop, back when Superman was created and launched, and they walked in and they saw that comic book and they're like, you know what? I'm going to buy that because that's going to be worth money one day. No, they wanted to read a great comic book. They wanted to read a great story. And it was because of the fandom that was created around Superman, and Superman had millions of fans all over the world, that then it became valuable. The same thing could happen for anything. Look at the video games now that are worth so much. You see like, a version of like Super Mario 3 on Nintendo in mint condition, like went for $1 million the other. And if you looked at it when we were kids, you looked at Super Mario 3, you didn't think about it, I'm going to buy that. It's going to be worth $1 million one day. You bought it because you wanted to play Mario. And because of the cult following that Mario had and the stories of Mario and just the memories that everybody created, then it developed nostalgia. It had that value as a byproduct. NFTs need that same reset. The problem is we've always started this whole space with money. It's always been about money. It was never about fandom. It was never about fun. It was never about storytelling. It's all about money. So we need to go through the major reset first and foremost about fandom, fun, and enjoyment, and then let money be the byproduct of that. It's the only way that it becomes sustainable, not the reverse, which is starting with money and then let's engineer fandom. Let's engineer fun and enjoyment. So I think this is a healthy reset. A lot of people think, hey, we're in a bear market. Sure, we're in a bear market, but I actually like to think of it more as a reset than a bear market, more of a correction, because still Bored Apes are being sold for $60,000 and $70,000. And if you would have told us 12 months ago or 18 months ago that, pictures and JPEGs would be selling for $80,000, we'd be like, holy crap, that's incredible. So, I'm really bullish. I'm really bullish on the space overall, but we need to go through that reset.
So I guess if we're kind of somewhat looking at the history of things, we went through a phase of where, profile pictures were the happenings, and then it was DAOs, and then people started saying, oh, photography, one of one art, all this other stuff. And not that all of it necessarily had massive cycles, but people kind of like got into something at certain times, and now people are screaming, hey, the next big thing is going to be blockchain gaming. Agree or disagree?
I think gaming is a really good conduit because it makes sense for a lot of reasons. It starts with fun and enjoyment and entertainment, and you build off of that foundation with something that is pretty easy to connect. In games, you have power-ups, you have assets, and that's obviously an easy one to start correlating to. Okay, I've earned these assets in a game. Why don't I have true ownership of it, and why can't I have full capability to sell and transfer it and whatnot? So I think that if you're looking for an on-ramp that makes it easy for people to connect, gaming is one of them. And I see some folks in your chat are saying there's tons of hate for gaming NFTs. 100%. But I will remind you, gamers hate innovation in the same way that, like, remember, gamers hated free to play. They hated free to play. I remember I was one of them. When free to play was initially introduced, people were like, forget about it. Why are you saying the game is free and then all of a sudden you're going to charge me $10 to go to the next level, $30 for a power up, etc. Now you fast forward years and years later, free to play is recognized by gamers as an innovation that was good for the space early on, and now it's by default. I think NFTs are going to see the same arc where there was an introduction of this is a cash grab, much like gamers thought free to play was a cash grab. Remember, that was the whole thing. Free to play is a cash grab. Game developers need to be more straightforward. You're going to see the same arc with NFTs. This is a cash grab, or actually, no, I like having full ownership of my assets. I like what NFTs can do. We just need to go back to what I was saying earlier, which is disconnect cryptocurrency scams from underlying blockchain technology that's good for everyone. And I think that's the next big hurdle for the space.
That's the next big hurdle, and excited to see kind of how that is, and seeing that you guys are, potentially to tackle a little portion of that and be the good voice in the space. But guys, I've thrown down Will's Twitter as well as Cryptoys Twitter down in the chat if you're wanting to follow them. Will, any kind of final thoughts, or maybe somebody that tuned in a little bit later that doesn't know what Cryptoys is, maybe just give us a quick 60-second rundown of what it is, who you are, and why they should be paying attention for the years to come.
Yeah, appreciate that. So yeah, again, we're building the world's premier digital toy company with Cryptoys, imagining what a toy company that's built from the ground up as something that's digital first and NFT native would look like, and then reimagining the concept of play in a fully digital world. How do you play with digital toys? How do you collect them? Bringing iconic IP to this new world in fun and engaging ways. And yeah, check us out. We'd love to hear your feedback, both the good feedback, the bad feedback, things that we can improve on. Check us out at cryptoys.com. The mint is still open if you still want to get a few He-Man Wave 1s. That'll be minted out pretty soon. We'll go to Wave 2 pretty shortly. But if you want to grab some of the ones that you saw on stream, it's still open at the moment. And yeah, hit us up and let us know what you think. We'd be grateful for all the feedback.
Yo, Will, I appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully we'll chat on here again sometime soon.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Guys. All right. Peace. Yo, there he is. Yo, remember, nothing is real.